morning, people. Cindy here. Take a look at the seedlings. They are so robust. They have really been enjoying their time under the GrowCraft LED lighting system. Every day I've been upping the intensity of the light with the adjustable dimmer switch, and so they are ready to be planted out. Today is May 1st, and that's always my target for trying to be ready to get them planted out, and it's the perfect day to do that. We've got overcast skies, a high in the mid 60s right now. It's going to be a little bit warmer in the greenhouse, and that's going to make for a really nice transition for these seedlings. Let me show you how I do it. Okay, everybody, we are here in greenhouse 1, and it is optimum conditions, I think, for transplanting these babies. Looking at my thermostat, my soil is 72.8 degrees, and the moisture level is just right. It's like at 29%. I've got some probes out here measuring that at 2 different depth levels. The air temperature is about 74 degrees right now. And so let's plant these guys. Greenhouse 1, I'm going to put my own seeds out here. I was super happy with how my 2030 squash seeds did last year. It proved out really well. Most of them had really good color. And I was also really inspired by my buddy Pete Casper planting his own seed last year and just smashing the Iowa state record. So I don't normally plant my own seeds, but this year I'm going to. So I started 4 2030 Tobec squash, and they all look pretty good. I'm going to put 3 of them out here, and here's what they look like. I've got this one here. And I've got this one as well. And this is probably my 3rd choice. So that was the order. Keep in mind when you're planting out, like the order that you like best. I always put my most vigorous one on the right, and that's the one I kind of keep an eye on. I only designated 2 planting spots in this particular greenhouse with these stakes here, and so I'm just going to have to make room for a 3rd one. They'll still be, all 3 of them, within the confines of the area that was dug out, the pit for the soil heating cable. You know what? I changed my mind. I'm just going to do my top 2 and give that 3rd one away to maybe another squash grower who could use one. So first thing I did was I dug out those 2 holes. I just used my hands because the soil is so light and loose right now. And I sprinkled in a little bit of bone meal, and that's high in phosphorus, and it's not going to burn your plants. It's natural and organic, and that's going to help with rooting. Just a little sprinkle in each hole. All right, the next thing I did was I added 3 Wow starter packs to each hole. Wow Super Starter Packs, they've got all kinds of goodies in there that your giant pumpkin or any other plant that you're wanting to cultivate is going to like, including mycorrhizae. Next up in the holes, I put a handful of mycorrhizae, and so Mycos Gold is the stuff that I use. There are lots of different brands of that, and that is going to help inoculate the roots of your plant, form some symbiotic relationships with those roots. Now these babies are ready for planting. First thing I want you to make sure of is that your soil, your potting soil in the pots, is moist. You want that root ball to hold together. And if you have dry soil and you try to do this, all that soil is going to fall away. So make sure it's moist, and that will hold together. Now, one thing you might notice in my 1-gallon pot here, it is just a regular pot. I have not cut away the bottom. I don't have it taped up on the sides. I think if you are careful and you've got moist soil, transplanting this is as easy as can be. You just invert it, hold it carefully, don't disturb the roots, and put it in the hole. It's that simple. I think a lot of times, and I've done these things before with the tricked out pots, you do more harm than good. All right, before we put this in the hole, the final consideration that we need to make sure is what direction it's going to run. So if we look at the plant in profile here, we need to locate the first true leaf. These are not true leaves. These are cotyledon leaves or seed leaves. The very first leaf on this plant that came out on the very bottom of the vine here is this one. And so the plant is going to run opposite of this first true leaf. And so whatever direction I want my plant to run, which happens to be this way, I'm going to make sure and plant it so that that first true leaf is on this side, because my plant is going to most likely run this direction. All right, so I've inverted my pot. I'm carefully holding my plant, and I'm going to put it into the planting hole in the direction that I want it to grow. All right, I've got it in the hole. I'm just supporting it right now so it doesn't fall clear down to the bottom. But what I want you to notice is that I am not putting it straight up and down. I'm laying it pretty much on its side. It's kind of on the inclined side of this hole. And if I were to let go, it might drop down to the bottom. So I'm going to fill in the bottom of this to support this, and then I'm going to backfill the hole gently. Why do I lay it on its side? Because that way it will start its vining along the ground a little bit easier and have a little bit less of a chance of toppling over and breaking or kinking. We don't want that either. All right, we are backfilled, and then I just very gently tamped in the ground around it. And plant number one, my number one choice, which will be on the right, is done. Now it's time to plant in the second hole our backup plant number 2. Okay, both plants are in the ground and they're facing the right direction. Also notice that I've got walk boards all the way around my plants, and they go clear out to the exit and entrance of the greenhouse. So keep your soil nice and loose by using walk boards. As the plants grow, you just simply move your walk boards out and get more walk boards. Now it's time to water these guys in. All right, I mixed up some special sauce for these babies. It's warm-ish. I use tepid water, and it's got all kinds of cool stuff in it. Let me show you. One of the things I mixed in that gallon was a 1/4 teaspoon of azos, some beneficial bacteria that will inoculate the plant, and that's going to help with nitrogen fixing. I also added a 1/4 teaspoon of actinovate. I did a 1/4 teaspoon of Root Shield Plus WP wettable powder. I did a 1/4 teaspoon of 5-2 Wonder Blend from Wow. And my buddy Frank sent me some Versity, which is another beneficial bacteria. So I added a 1/4 teaspoon of that. And then I finished it off with some 20/20 fertilizer that's soluble. So before I do that, let me show you what I do next. Whenever I feed my plants, either drench or foliar or through my drip lines, I like to test to make sure it's not too strong of a solution. So I've got my parts per million meter here, and I just simply stick it in there, and it's showing me it's about 250 parts per million, and that is pretty good, I think, for baby plants. Alright, so I'm just going to water in all the way around both of these plants, and that's going to help to make those roots get in contact with the soil and get itself established. I'm not going to get any on the leaves, and I'm going to kind of just make a wide berth all the way around the plant here. I'm going to do that with both of them, and Oscar is going to supervise the whole operation. Then I've got to protect them. I'll show you how I do that. Okay, we have planted our babies in the big wide world, and we don't want to just send them off unprotected. And so what I do is I made a cattle panel Quonset hut for them. That's a nice, sturdy, rigid metal that I bent around, and if anything falls on it, it's not going to collapse, and it will support the weight of a blanket. I make a little blanket fort for these babies at night with just the end cracked open a little bit. For warmth, they've got a red glowing chick brooder lamp, and I shine that onto like a ceramic pot or pie plate, and then they've got a strip LED light in there. So they are all set, and I'm going to turn those lights off because we don't need them right now. It's 5 at night and it's still nice and light out. But in the evening, I'm going to close up this greenhouse, and I'm going to put the blanket fort over the babies with their lights on. And that is the start of my anxiety for the next several months. Is just once these guys are in the ground and they're out of the house, that's when I will be just constantly fretting and worrying about them. But I've done the best I can for them by balancing this soil and putting them into a great little planting hole, and provided them some good early season protection with the blanket fort, the chick brooder lamp, and the soil heating cable. And so they are ready to grow and hopefully make me a new squash world record. Oh, you know what? I forgot to do one last thing. I just saw it as I was wrapping up my video. I'm going to sprinkle around those plants a little slug bait, because you never can be too careful. This time of year, I don't get slugs really, and they don't really like crawling across the dry earth, but I've got all my hopes and dreams pinned on these babies, and I'm not going to take any chances. So, slug bait, good idea. Hope you learned something good today, you guys. Have fun, take your time, and I can't wait to hear how well you transplanted your babies outside.